Mike, buddy, you're back.
Yeah, I am. Boy, that was some trip.
So, how was the flight?
The flight was more eventful than the actual stay there. I didn't get to see much of Japan.
No, wait, dude, you're trying to tell me that you actually spent a week in Japan and you didn't do anything?
No, they had a fucking rubella epidemic going on, and it was in all the tourist spots, so rather than risk getting rubella or whatever the fuck that does, or German measles, I just stayed in my hotel room. I think I got really bored at one point because I lost about 3 days' time, and all I saw was a spent bottle of amphetamines on my table and several DVDs, like The Matrix, The Walking Dead, The Happening, Sucker Punch, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, Lord of the Flies, The Evil Dead, and somehow The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Well, that's quite the range there, bud.
It's not the worst part, man. Like, you know what else was on my table? Besides all that shit? Underneath it all?
What?
A fucking script. Apparently, I wrote a movie while blacked out.
You wrote a movie? Like an entire script?
Yeah, it's like 300 pages, or like whatever parts of it didn't say all work and no play makes Mike a dull boy had like a fucking plot in it. And I read like the first couple of pages and it seems really good, but then I kind of blew my wad after the first 5 minutes, and then the rest of it was just I mean, I wrote it, even I couldn't stand it, so I just tossed it in the trash and came home.
Oh. Well,
I mean, all those movies together couldn't work.
No, I mean, come on. Nobody would ever make that movie.
Nope. And that's a good thing, because I'd hate to have to review it for the show.
Welcome to episode 62 of the Graveyard Shift Horror Podcast, where each week we watch a movie from the horror category, and sometimes one that just barely fits that category, and we break it down into the good, the bad, and any other grouping we decide to make up. We'll talk about the plot, some production details, and whatever else we find fun or relevant. And as always, there'll be spoilers aplenty. I'm your host Sheldon, and I never worked a graveyard shift alone. Please say hello to a guy whose real life seems like some kind of surreal fantasy, my co-host Mike.
Hey everybody.
And how are you, my friend?
Kind of deflated after seeing this movie, but I'm hopeful because we got other movies on the list and I'm looking forward to them. So I'm kind of crestfallen but optimistic.
Yeah. We want to move through this one quickly. We're going to slice through this one like a school bus full of Japanese schoolgirls. I don't even want to play around with this week's movie, so why don't you just tell everyone what we've got for them this time?
Today's episode is Matrix Are for Kids, because we watched Tag.
We sure did, not to be confused with the recent Jeremy Renner movie of the same title.
Or the fun school game.
That would have been more exciting. Mike, somebody actually suggested this movie. I'm baffled, but it was someone by the name of Arctic Fox who suggested it on our Twitter page. So stay tuned at the end of the episode. We're going to tell you all the ways that you can contact us if you have a movie suggestion for us. Preferably a nice palate cleanser after this.
And how you can do a much better job than Arctic Fox did.
Yeah. So anyway, here's some info on Tag. Released in July of 2015, Tag is, and brace yourself for this description, a Japanese suspense action horror art film directed by Sion Sono. It has an R rating, has a runtime of 85 minutes, though it seems much longer. I found absolutely nothing about its budget or box office returns. I have a feeling the budget wasn't very high. And now, Mike, I hope your mind is hard, because I'm about to blow it. Rotten Tomatoes gives this movie a critic score of 80%.
Fuck no.
80%. I am not fucking around.
Fuck. I mean, I defended Rotten Tomatoes before, but now, I mean, you're giving me a reason to fucking turn on you, you asshole, Rotten Tomatoes. What the fuck?
everybody comes down on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, they just do an average, like the average score of all the reviews that get submitted to it. So, I mean, you can't really blame Rotten Tomatoes, but I do blame critics because there is no way that this movie deserved an 80%. It has an audience score of 61, which I can kind of understand. It's much higher than I'd give it, but I do understand.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard to imagine 61% of anybody looking at this and going, I dig it.
yeah, really. But, so you can already figure out what Mike and I thought of this overall. We were not particularly impressed, even though this movie did have some impressing aspects about it. It was, like, when it was good, it was actually really good. Unfortunately, those really good things were few and far between. And it had some things that just left us absolutely baffled. But we're going to get into details. Like I said in the opening, we talk about all the good and the bad and some stuff that just doesn't quite fit in either of those categories. Now, when it comes to the good and the bad, that can be anything we want to talk about personally. Can be something as broad as an overall theme. Something as specific as a certain scene, certain character, certain music note, for that matter, because we definitely want to mention that. And we always start off with the good, and we always start off with the Mike. So, Mike, grit your teeth and tell me something that you actually liked about this movie.
2 minutes into this movie, and the kill count is already about high as half of our episodes that we've covered combined.
Oh, yeah. You are absolutely right. Like 2 minutes in, and the kill count is already at about 40. And done in epic fashion, too, I might add. So do you want to describe what happens there?
Sure. We are treated to a bunch of teen girls on a school bus, and one girl, the hero, Mitsuko, is scribbling something in her notebook, like little girl journal stuff. And someone decides to throw a pillow around, and a poorly made pillow, because the stitching comes loose and feathers start flying immediately.
Oh, yeah. I got notes on that for another category.
Yeah, like, I'm not saying this is what makes it good, I'm just building up to the scene. And then someone, nudges Mitsuko, she drops her pen, and she bends down to pick it up, and that's when the school bus in front gets sliced in half, and you see the roof fly off, and torsos flying everywhere, and before anyone can really react, the bus that she's on also gets sliced in half from the, sliced across, not in between, and just takes off everybody's fucking torso right off the bat, except for Mitsuko, who had bent down to pick up her pen. And she gets up, and she's just surrounded by all these torsos, which are splurting blood. Although, I'll get to that. That raises a bad point, but we're in the good section right now, so we're going to stay on point.
Yeah, that raises a slight biology question, anatomy question, but...
And then immediately we're treated to a nice sting from The Walking Dead. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, that sounds like The Walking Dead. And then the bus comes to a slow cross, it just slows down because the driver is now dead.
Which also we'll talk about, but...
And then she walks across all these bodies, which is really cool, and then the wind picks up, and she finds someone else, tells them, or she finds a bunch of joggers or bicyclists, and they get sliced up. Then she comes across some joggers, pins one of them to the ground, everyone else gets cut in half, she stands up and says, "What's happening?" And she shouldn't have stood up because she gets cut up too. And it seems like this girl can immediately dodge the invisible blade of... we don't know what this is. The Grim Reaper, or a sightless ninja who's living in the forest. Something Japanese. But no, she's now got it that it's the wind doing it. And then the camera starts following her from the point of view of the wind, like the Evil Dead.
Oh yeah, it is definitely like the Evil Dead, shaky cam.
while also playing, once again, the Walking Dead theme. Now, I'm just going to cut the scene there because that's all the good.
Yeah, like one of the things like that matches my my list of what I liked. Like right off the bat, man, they go full throttle for the gore. You literally, like we said, like there's two school buses packed with schoolgirls, gets the top sliced off and cut directly through the midsection of everybody in that bus. Driver gets decapitated because she's down as one of those buses that actually, like, the driver's down a little lower than the actual passenger section. Driver's decapitated, everyone else is sliced directly in half, and you see it in all its gory goodness. They did not shy away from the gore in this, and so it got points right away. Like, I am grabbed. Like, holy crap, that is amazing.
I'm clearing my next 90 minutes because I'm ready to watch this.
Yeah, and like we said, the main character is running. You don't see anything. It's an invisible force. All you see is the wind, like it's blowing leaves around. And she runs, sees some people on the street, and she tries to warn them. They all get sliced up as well. And you see that, like, there's no, alluding to it or cutting away from it. She's running through the woods, and she comes across, like, all these just, like, torsos strewn about all over the place.
Yeah, some kids hung up by the river, and they are now decorating the river.
Yeah, and absolutely amazing.
And then she goes to wash herself off in a river which really should not have any clean water in it.
No, considering that it's packed full of bodies that have been chopped in half, it really shouldn't. Should be running pretty red at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
but we can't get into that. We got to stick with the good.
Yeah, absolutely. It that was my first note. It grabs you right away. Starts off with a bang. Doesn't hold it, but starts off with a bang. The gore is great. I like this. It was low budget. A lot of done mostly through digital editing, and you can tell, but still not a bad job at all. So I was quite fine with that. Okay, was that your only good point?
No, I got one more good.
Okay, go for it.
50 minutes in, and we're rewarded with a slutty wedding. Because I guess we'll just say this girl, just for the purposes of plot up to this point, little high school girl goes to school, like running, like trying to tell them like the wind's trying to kill everybody, except everybody's still alive. And turns out and then she's at school, and then all of a sudden the teachers start going nuts, killing everybody with guns, because apparently now the schools have got guns in Japan. And then everybody starts running for their lives. She runs into town to get a cop, but turns out she doesn't have to, because when she goes into a police station, someone says, "Why are you here on your day off?" She looks in the mirror, and now she is a cop.
Yep, she's a full adult, not a young schoolgirl anymore, and not just like a grown-up version, like a completely different person. So,
because she is a different person, she even gives her a different name,
so
like Ichiko or something.
So Mike, like we get treated to a wedding where that is not a male to be seen, first of all, in this wedding, and everybody decides that I'm going to strip down to my underwear.
It's a bikini wedding.
Yeah.
It's an underwear party. And up to this point, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm kind of not missing that there's no men in this movie.
Oh, no, I was fine with that. That's fine.
And then we're just like, well, the groom's got to show up because it's a wedding, and I doubt we're going to get a lesbian wedding. Although that would have been a nice twist. But no, they decided to go with a different twist, and I don't think I'll mention... I guess I can mention it here. Well, is it good? Are we going to consider this twist good?
Yeah,
because I can just stop right here and leave it for the band.
I was curious about it. It certainly was good in the sense that it certainly caught me by surprise, because I did not expect that.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, so it's kind of good, at least in its premise. She gets dragged up to the altar. Everyone's like throwing shit around, stripping down to their undies. Some actually well-developed Asian girls bouncing around, and I'm just thinking, okay, like, There's been some lulls in this movie, some shit that didn't make sense.
Mike is
Plenty
like,
of bad.
Mike is like, Jesus, did I accidentally switch to Pornhub? What's going on here?
And then she gets dragged up to the altar, and then we see a coffin waiting at the very top. And I'm thinking, oh man, is there like a dead body in there? But no, instead is a man in a tuxedo, but he has the head of a pig.
Yes.
And immediately it's like, oh great, Lord of the Flies.
Yep, that's because I didn't. You finished the movie before I did, so I totally did not get your Lord of the Flies comments in your text at first until I got to that part, and I'm like, there it is.
And then he doesn't even say anything. Like I didn't know, like if this was just a little more political, I would have gone with Animal Farm, but the pig looks dead. Like it looks like he's like wearing a dead pig's head, not like this is like a living pig man.
Yeah.
And he just like leans forward and he's like, "Ray, ray, ray." Well, he's not moving. It's like this prosthetic head is just flapping to stimulate life.
Yep.
Like this is clearly where the budget ran out.
I liked it. Like it would have been like it's something that would have been cool as a Halloween costume. Like I would have totally rocked out as a Halloween costume, wearing like a tuxedo, and then there's this massive pig head.
Pigman would be a great character, but I'd like to see him in a better movie.
Yeah.
Maybe with a 9 Inch Nails soundtrack, like March of the Pigs being played.
Was this like some kind of social commentary that all men are pigs?
That would be great, except if other men with pig heads showed up.
Yeah.
Then it would be like, oh yeah, men are pigs.
Yeah, well, they're not wrong.
For the most part.
Present company excluded, of course.
Oh no, we're like total gentlemen.
Absolutely. The best.
That's why I'm still single. So, yeah, the nice slutty bridesmaids wedding, and the scary pig man who the bride immediately shoves a broken bottle because she's been holding it like a bouquet, and nobody's commented on this.
Nobody seemed to notice this.
And she shoves it into the pig man's throat. It starts pissing blood, and I'm like, there we go. Finally a reason for this much blood pressure. Because now she's actually nicked something above the heart.
Yeah.
And then the pig man apparently dies, and then she gets visited by the Matrix agents.
Then everybody's kung fu fighting.
And now we're out of the good territory.
Okay,
so
well,
this is
I'm
where the
not.
good part
I still got some more to talk about.
I'm out of the good.
I couldn't tell because of the dialogue, because I watched this with in the actual original Japanese with English subtitles. I actually was digging the acting. I thought everybody did a pretty good job in this. Everything seemed natural. The lead character, the young girl, like she was very convincing when it came to her freak out, where she couldn't tell if she was going crazy, if she just imagined everything, like all the deaths, or it was just something that played through in her head. She took like a total mental breakdown, and I'm like, she did a great job of that. So the acting for like I give them props for that. I think they did a fine job. Next,
only because she was always supposed to be perplexed. We don't know if she had any range beyond that.
Maybe. But like even the supporting cast, I think did a pretty decent job. They didn't have like huge roles or anything, but I thought they did well enough.
They did good with what they were given.
Yeah. They
just weren't given much.
Exactly. I'm gonna give them points for the homage to Terminator, the original Terminator movie that he did. And it's a very subtle one. Not a lot of people are gonna pick up on it. Terminator, one of my favorite movies, so I definitely caught this. During the school massacre, when the teachers show why arming teachers would not be a good idea, one of the teachers is marching through the school, through the hallway, with a scoped assault rifle in one hand and an automatic shotgun in the other.
Oh yes, the one-handed arm's length shotgun blast.
Yeah, and she is like, she's switching it out, like, she's shooting some of the students with the assault rifle, some with the shotgun, and the way she's carrying it as she's walking through the hallway, right out of Terminator scene when he is marching through the police department and just like mowing down cops. the exact same guns, and she's doing it the exact same way, like has the exact same stance.
Huh.
I'm like, right out of Terminator. I actually had to go and like look up a screenshot and compare it. And I'm like, there it is. Look at that. Same gun, same actions. So yeah, I missed that. Like I said, it's a subtle one, but I picked up on it. And the other thing I got on my good list, like I said, like as bad as this movie was, I did have a few good things to talk about. So that's all right. Like it gets a few points at least. At the beginning, I was enjoying how it was really keeping me guessing. Like I didn't know what was happening. You went through the whole thing about like this invisible force slicing people in half. We didn't know what was going on, and like right away,
I expected it to come back at the school.
Yeah, and you don't know what's going on there. Right away, I'm thinking, going through theories. I'm like, is this some kind of invisible demon, spirit, or something? Does the lead character have some kind of, psychokinetic powers, like mental powers, that she doesn't know how to control, and this is what's happening? And left me guessing. Unfortunately,
we were putting more thought into this movie than the writer did.
Yeah, and maybe I should just save that for my bad list, because we talked about that a little more. But yeah, at the beginning, like I was really invested. I want to know what the hell is going on. Like it had me gripped. So like please, like get to it.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm ready.
Yeah, like I want you to blow me away. Come on, I'm just waiting. So that's all I had written down for my good. I'm trying to think if there's something maybe that I missed. But no, I think that's pretty much it. Like I think we've hit all the good points about this. So now we're going to go into the category that's a little more fun to talk about, and that is the bad, and that is anything that actually like kind of we thought fell flat or ticked us off or whatever. Anything we didn't like, we get to throw it in here. And since you start off with the good, I'll start off with the bad. Wow, I'm looking at my list and which one, because I didn't really prioritize this. Which one should I start off with? I'll start off with one that we've already talked about a few times. Why did they steal the Walking Dead theme for the movie's main music theme? And okay, when you mentioned it first, I'm like, yeah, that is very similar. Like that is very close. Actually, sounds pretty similar. Holy fuck, is this the exact same themes, like a music score? And we're talking about the Walking Dead opening credit theme. The majority of people. And everything, even like the violin, yeah. And I'm like, it's very close. And when I was looking up some info for this movie on IMDb, sure enough, in the trivia, it says the main theme during some of the more suspenseful parts of the movie is actually the theme from The Walking Dead. So it doesn't sound similar to it. According to IMDb, it is the exact same music.
Yeah, this isn't a sound alike. It is an exact alike. Because it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It is that thing.
And which is unfortunate, because I should have put this in the good... Like, not that there's anything wrong with the theme. I'm just like, that is Walking Dead. Like, why am I listening to the Walking Dead theme in a Japanese horror movie?
Yeah, have people just run out of spooky music stings?
Yeah. Which is a shame, because I found that in some of the other scenes, like, I actually was liking the music score for this. Like, it was some original stuff. It fit the mood well.
Yeah, the music did fit the scenes, even if I didn't agree with the need for the scenes themselves.
Yeah.
They did fit the scenes well.
Very much, I thought. I thought that the whoever compiled the music actually did a decent job. But
yeah, there's scenes where the kids are having like little like teen slice of life movies or like teen coming of age movies where there's always like a generic rock soundtrack as they're like doing some childish thing, like running around or having a pillow fight or just looking at the camera and dispensing some Teen Vogue pearls of wisdom.
Exactly.
Like the music that they put in there fits it perfectly. So I'm like, they know what they were shooting for. They just decided to fuck with us.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that just seemed like, I mean, there's no doubt. Like, I mean, if you are slightly familiar with The Walking Dead, you knew that theme song right off the bat. So I found that kind of weird. Like, I found myself wondering, and when I should be watching the movie and trying to figure out what the hell is going on, I'm just trying to figure out why did they use such a popular theme song.
Well, yeah, because clearly this movie is about it either paying homage or just outright ripping off or blatantly copying better things. The Evil Dead shaky cam, The Walking Dead. Whenever anything suspenseful or spooky happens, play The Walking Dead, because that music is spooky and suspenseful.
Yeah. And a lot, like you said, it must have that theme song must have showed up like 70 times throughout the course of this movie.
At least 20 times without exaggeration. I swear to God, it is not an exaggeration. You will hear it at least 20 times, maybe 25 to 30, but at least 20.
Yeah.
Because the only time I mentioned it as a bad was 6 minutes in, and I timed this. I checked the play count. 6 minutes into this movie, we have heard the intro to The Walking Dead played 4 times in between Evil Dead pursuit cameras. So get used to it, because they will not ever fucking stop.
Yeah. So
4 times in the first 6 minutes. That is a fact. Not me fucking around or blowing things out of proportion. Ugh.
Okay, so what do you got next for your bad? Or what do you have first on your bad, I should say?
Well, my bad section, I had to... there's a lot of stuff here that would have gone into what the fucks, but that would have just completely desensitized the need for what the fucks. So my bad section is kind of transmuted into why the fuck. And that is, if the girls' torsos are sliced in half, why the fuck are they splurting blood from their lower halves?
Yeah.
Japanese people have strange circulation, and they age like elves because the 18-year-olds look 12.
They do, and especially considering that, because we were talking about, before we started recording, we had to talk that, like, we actually had to check to make sure that because a certain thing that happens in this movie a couple of times, we had to make sure that these actresses that were playing these characters were of age.
Not that it would have fucking mattered in Japan.
No, I know, but still, like, it's if for nothing else, made me feel better. Cause
just to let you know, in Japan, there's a word lolicon, and it has nothing to do with a person's appreciation for candy on sticks.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's we'll talk about that later, because it definitely needs a mention, because it was something that really turned me off from this movie. But yeah, like, just to say that we did check it out, and the actresses at the time in this movie were in their 20s, so your thing about, like, them not aging seems pretty appropriate, actually.
Yeah, even if they were in their 20s, they still look 12. And the women that are supposed to be in their 20s in the movie, they look 16. They look like they should be the high school kids.
Yeah. So, oh my god.
Japanese people are elves. That's my theory. That's my submission for this week's theory time. That's why they're small and they don't age.
Yeah, that's not overly racist.
I didn't say anything about their driving. Screw you.
Okay, so one of the things I got to mention this, just because I mentioned before about how the movie grabbed me right away. It's like, wow, like, what did this? Like, we got to figure out what's going on here. Within the first 2 minutes, you're wondering, it's like, holy crap, what caused all this? The movie is 85 minutes long. 75 minutes later, I'm still wondering, what the fuck is causing all this? What the hell is going on?
Even when they explain it, you still never fucking know.
Yeah, I was going to mention that afterwards too, but we might as well get into it now, seeing as both of us want to talk about it. I still don't know what the fuck happened in this movie. Like, I have a vague understanding, like the way they explained it, but
I understand what I saw, but I still don't know why.
Jesus Christ. I don't mind, like, there's movies that just, especially in horror movies, I mean, it's a common thing for horror movies where it's open-ended, where it doesn't really end. But this ended? I just don't know what the fuck happened at the ending.
we'll just bring everyone up to speed. So after high school girl runs into a cop shop, becomes a cop, goes to a wedding to marry a pig man, and then the Matrix agents come in. They end up fighting her and her best friend, who somehow is aware that that things aren't what they seem, and she needs to remember who she is. They end up having this lame-ass karate style fight where everyone is just basically doing the same moves to each other, like fighting Shadow Link. And then they break out, end up running down the street, and then she transmutes into a jogger, who then is being followed by the Matrix agents and the pig man, who for some fucking reason decides to do backflips and then kick joggers in the back. Like, they're just out to kill everybody, not just her.
Mm-hmm.
And no reason why they're on a killing spree. And then she ends up having a chance to talk with her friend, who tells her that the world is fictional and you have to basically slice my wrists. Like, you have to kill me to open up the gateway. And just like the Matrix, she shows her wrist, and there is a red wire and a blue wire. So the world is a simulation, like the Matrix, and you have to deal with red and blue items handed to you in order to shatter the illusion of reality and find reality, like the Matrix. And then when she pulls on the strings, somehow pulling wires out of the ground through her friend, who has been walking around, so she's not mounted to the ground. So who knows why these cables are coming out of the ground through her friend. But she ends up pulling the wires forward, and that ends up splitting her friend in half somehow. And then there's all the wires leading to what seems to be like a stage door, and she goes through, and then she finds an old man in front of a TV like the fucking Matrix.
Yeah. There's definitely...
And he's playing a video game, which is all the scenes she's been in. Although this is like what I imagine like somebody over the age of 50 thinks video games are. Because he's playing this controller like he's doing something, but we're just watching movie scenes. So we have no idea, is he supposed to be controlling the schoolgirls getting away from the attack? Is he supposed to be like, your job is to kill schoolgirls? Is he like the attacking force? Or... So apparently she's in like a game or a fiction of some kind. Oh, and we finally get to see men.
Sure, if that's your thing.
Well, yeah, I thought like they were on like some like Amazonian island or something. So, yeah, men finally show up, and turns out she's part of, like, a popular series, but strangely enough, even if she is part of, like, a popular series or a game, nobody looks at her and be like, oh, fuck, you're real. They're just like, hey, you're in from the game. Yeah, that simulation girl. And then she finds, like, a whole bunch of dolls and shit, like, life dolls kept in storage, which are basically her and her friends in different forms. And he ends up telling her, like, oh, you died, like, 134 years ago, but we cloned your DNA. And something about running you through simulations where we kill you. Because...
yeah, like, you don't get any real explanation, and it's fucking stupid.
It's not like she was important in the past, and that's why they cloned her. Which... I mean, like, that's one of my bads. Why would you make disposable clones of an anonymous group of high school girls from, he says, 134 years ago? Why not popular people, like famous people like idols, actors, warriors from a bygone age? Something. No, just anonymous schoolgirls so we can kill, because apparently even in the future, Japanese men are fucking weird.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's, so you're really, it's the most convoluted ending ever, like the most convoluted explanation.
And then more Japanese stuff, they lay out a bed, and some young guy just lays down in his underwear, and he's like tapping the bed like, come on. And I'm like, oh great, now we're just going into hentai. Because Japan. And the old guy is just like, go on, do what you're supposed to. And he's acting like this is his magnum opus, and I'm just thinking, like, is this like young guy like a clone of him?
I think so. Like, it was the same. It was the same actor.
And like, I wanted to fuck you, but you were like 130 years older than me and dead. So I cloned myself, and I cloned you, so now we can fuck, and it's not creepy at all.
Nope, I'm gonna watch.
And yeah, so she lays on the bed, and then she gets flashbacks of her friend saying, like, life always has a plan for you, and the only way to deviate from that plan is to do something unexpected.
Yeah.
So she rips open a pillow, and I thought she was going to smother him with the pillow, but she didn't do that, did she? She stabbed herself with something.
Yep, she did. She grabbed the old man's cane and ran it through herself.
Right, and then it shows the other versions of her, like the high school girl stabbing herself with a pen, the bride stabbing herself with the bottle, and the jogger stabbing herself with sweat?
I don't know. We don't know what happened there. She just drops dead.
She stabbed herself with jogging.
So like I said, one of the most convoluted explanations for the premise, what was going on in this movie. It just made no sense. Like, I honestly think they didn't know how to end the movie, and they just made that up on the spot.
How about she wakes up on a sandy beach? Sure, why the fuck
Why not? Sure. So that made no sense, absolutely. So, what else can I say for the bad? Like, I got to the point where I just decided to stop writing notes because it didn't matter anymore.
Oh, I wasn't burned out at this point. I was burned out for the what the fucks. That was when I was just like, I give up. I'm fucking done.
Yeah. Well,
have you got?
I do have one there about, like, holy shit, if you're going to try to tackle a deranged gunman, like, or a gun person, I should say, don't want to focus too much on gender roles. Do a better job than this young girl did when she tried to tackle her teacher that was coming in and slaughtering all the students with automatic weapons.
You mean grab their legs and put all your effort into leg hugging them?
Runs at her like she's like a freaking like she's a football player that's about to tackle somebody, and then we get a cutscene of when she actually and she lightly hugs her legs.
I've seen this in animes so many times when someone is trying to deal with a bully, they just hug the leg and it never works, not even in the cartoons. They just get punched in the head or kicked appropriately, and I'm like, you've seen the flaws in this. Why do you make this your go-to? You tackle somebody from the shoulders because people are top-heavy.
Like, haha, I'm holding onto your knees. What are you going to do now, sucker?
What are you going to do, walk away? I've got you in my trap.
Oh, right, you have a gun. I'm dead.
All right, you have a gun, and I've just put my head at perfect level. You don't even have to lift the gun or aim it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so ridiculous. I'm like, why? Why even put that in the movie? Like, you could have had her just, run at her, and the teacher just sidesteps, and she just skids to a halt on the floor, and then the teacher shoots her.
Or someone that just stands in front of, why are you doing this? Rather than, you've already established they are...
Why do that? It just looks so ridiculous.
Yeah, why are you doing this, you fucking dum-dum? They've established they're killing people for whatever reason they have. The reason doesn't matter. Get the fuck out, get the police, and then when the police arrest them, then you can ask about the reason.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get through this. I'm tired of talking this movie. What else you got for your bad list?
Amnesia should only be introduced into a movie if it helps the plot. Not to introduce people that the character is already best friends with. Just to explain to us.
Yeah.
Because you know what they do in other movies? They just simply say, hey buddy, what's up? And then they end up doing some shit that makes you establish right off the bat, oh, that's their friend. Mm-hmm. And they're the smartass. They're the bookworm. You know how a character defines themselves? Not with having someone else explain them to you, but by letting their actions explain them.
Yeah. Well, I was going to put this on... I put this on my bad list. I was going to put this on our what the fuck category. But you know what? I'm just going to put it on the bad because there's nothing good about this. We already kind of alluded to it when we talked about, we had to check, the ages of the actresses. Because it doesn't... You know what? Because I really feel uncomfortable about this. And it didn't matter because these are supposed to be playing... They're supposed to be playing, young girls, teenage high school girls. And... the makers of this movie had to put in some gratuitous, very sexualized, we'll just say like panty shots.
Well, first off, these girls aren't wearing skirts. They're wearing frilly belts.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like, these are skirts that are, like, at the very least, like, 6 inches above the knee. And I'm probably being generous with my measurements there.
Yeah, you could stare at them. Like, you could just get on... You could be, like, sitting fully upright on your knees, and you'd be seeing, like, panties right off the bat.
And we get like this scene where like all these girls are walking, and all of a sudden the wind breezes up, and everybody's skirts just lift up.
7-year itch.
And like, there's no need. There was absolutely no need for it whatsoever, except just to put in these sexualize these girls and put in these gratuitous panty shots. And then you do it again a little later. They do it that's shtick. They do that twice, where the wind just breezes up and lifts her skirts. And later on, we get a scene where 4 girls are running down the stairs, and of course the camera is on the, like, pointing at an upward angle, so we see their underwear from behind as they're running down the stairs. I'm like,
and yeah,
fuck you guys. This is supposed to be like teenage girls. Like, it doesn't matter what the age of the actresses are. I guess it does, but actually it does a lot, because that would be a whole lot worse. But
for legal reasons.
For legal reasons, yes. But for like, just there was just no need. It was just sexualization just for the sake of sexualization, and it just was not needed. It didn't do anything. It didn't progress the story. It was just nothing for an excuse to just be...
It was to get Japanese men horny at 16-year-old girls.
Or whoever's watching it. I'm not just going to say, like, just, because of...
Well, you got to consider their main movie audience was before Netflix.
Yeah, I know, but still, like, that's just... I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, there's going to be some pervs that get turned on by shit like this, but... That just bothered me. Like, I had to mention that because I'm like, there's just no need, and it was just gratuitous underwear shots that just for the sake of having that there. Like, there's...
Because the director would probably say, who doesn't want to look at 16-year-old girls in their underwear?
Yeah, exactly.
Not me, because I am a grosso.
Yep. So I'm not even going to put it in a what the fuck column. It was just bad.
Yeah, and then just to really drive the point home, they're hanging out at the lake, and like the raunchy one of the group just throws up her skirt and just gives us like full granny panty shots.
Mm-hmm.
Like just trying to like freak her friends out, like, look at me, I'm a hoe.
Yeah.
Or whatever message she's trying to get across. She's like the rowdy rabble rouser.
Yeah, and she's actually named Surreal.
Yeah.
So, did you have anything else for the bad, or should we just go on to... I just got one thing I want to mention for what the fuck.
I'll just do quick bads. Why did... When the teachers were shooting up the school, why would they play Anchors Away on the PA system? We are getting a naval Sousa march playing on the PA system while everyone's doing Anchors Away, and it's an American Anchors Away. Like, this is like some World War II American propaganda music, and this was played in Japan. It's like, why would you play basically like a cheer anthem of your enemy at the time over the PA system? And then when her friend shows up at the wedding and tells her, like, you're in a simulation, and then she just starts massacring people by herself, and everyone is just standing there screaming like, oh, don't kill me, please. And they don't fight back, they don't run away, and they just watch everyone else get killed as she, like, sloppily snaps some necks, breaks some arms. Like, I haven't seen people so compliant with their own death since Dr. Phibes.
Yeah. The only thing I could say about that is because it is in a video game, maybe and this is not what's supposed to happen, the characters just weren't programmed to do anything. They didn't know how to react.
They cried, like they acted like they were in fear.
Yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, so
Yeah. And then another quick bad was the epileptic cuts. It just it changes angles pointlessly, but shifts it from one side to the other, so you get dizzy watching a scene. And then at one point, I just wrote down, when will she realize she's Mitsuko, and just say it.
yeah, it took a few attempts.
And I guess as a point, just gore is good when it makes sense or is appropriate to a scene, but this movie is just loaded with cartoon splatterhouse bullshit. I can't even enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's like when you watch like a slasher movie, that slasher has one target and he destroys that target, and you're like, oh man, that looked brutal. When you just see casual people getting twisted, having their necks broken, being turned into a pretzel while not fighting back, or getting kicked in the back by a pig man who's doing backflips in a marathon, it doesn't make any fucking sense. There's no basis for enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just spectacle with no point.
Yeah, I was actually okay with that. I didn't mind that so much.
Yeah.
It didn't have any point. I totally agree with you there. It's just that I was okay with it not having a point.
There was nothing else to focus on, so
yeah.
It's kind of like someone just gives you a bunch of icing and they're just like, we ran out of cake, but I saved you this.
Yeah, well, the only thing I'm going to say about the bad, and this is my last one, is that this movie sets up a really unrealistic expectation of how much running somebody can do. Because the lead character at the beginning, she must have ran for like 10 minutes straight. And I mean, come on. That's impossible. Nobody can run for 10 minutes straight. I mean, I've tried and I couldn't do it. So, obviously, that can't be real. So, yeah.
And she wasn't even, like, drenched in sweat.
No. It's like, so, yeah. Shut up, movie. I'm not fat. You are.
And I'm all out of bats.
Okay, so I'm gonna go. I put down one thing for my what the fuck, and it's about the marathon race. And I gotta say, I am convinced that one of the background characters, one of the extras, I think we have her on camera actually dying for real. Because
when she gets kicked in the back?
Let me tell you, one of them, there's a few people that get kicked in the back, but there's one in particular. One of the Matrix teachers come running up, drop kicks this poor girl in the back, and I'm pretty sure she crumples, and I'm 99% sure that her head, as she falls forward, her head just like smacks off the curb at the street. I don't think you could fake that. Like, for one thing, it's like in the background and kind of like it's not something you're focusing on. So I don't think they would have put that in there just, would have went to the trouble of faking that scene for that to happen. But she falls, her forehead goes into the right on the top of the curb, and she does not move for the rest of that scene. She just goes like dead weight, just crumples, whack, and stops moving.
So there's the stair-riding bully from Trick or Treat, and this background jogger from Tag. So that's two possibly real deaths we've seen.
I think that could be a real death that we... Oh, that guy on Trick or Treat, there's no way he's alive. He's dead. They cover that up. They are like, oh shit. If it was a closed set, they took him out like into the back of the school somewhere and buried him. And this girl like died. I want to look that up because I'm pretty sure an extra died in this movie.
My only what the fuck is one word: Japan.
Jesus. We just lost our one Japanese listener.
Hey, look, our one Japanese listener. I'm calling you out. I'm giving you a chance to explain this shit. Is there some cultural thing we missed that got lost in translation with two gaijin like us? Or is this movie just as fucked to you as it is to us.
We just got like one Japanese listener that just came home and like it was like, oh great, there's a new episode of my favorite podcast, the Graveyard Shift, Horror with Sheldon and Mike. It's like, I'm gonna download this and listen to it, and it's like, and then we get to this part and he's like, what the fuck, guys, come on, man.
That's my what the fuck. You guys. I have like 3 tag posters in my room. I have a Mitsuko body pillow that I married last year, and you guys are just bagging on this. What the fuck are you?
That's it. He's gone.
I'm gonna go eat ramen on my futon and watch bizarre game shows.
Okay, stop describing my weekend, all right? Okay, so yeah, that's it. I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. It's weird. It's got some good scenes. You know, like there's some good gore scenes. It's a bit trippy in some places, but to be perfectly honest, the only reason why I would watch anything from this movie again is just to go back and replay all the kill scenes. That's it. If you took all the kill scenes and put it in one just one supercut, I think it would be fantastic. I think it would be like you put it on YouTube or something, you're going to get a lot of hits. Other than that, I wouldn't even bother. Watch this movie for the kills and nothing else. So, what do you say? Do you agree?
Yeah, watch a supercut, or just as soon as it looks like the kills have stopped, just hit the skip every 10 seconds button on your Netflix phone app, and just wait for something to explode, then go back, watch that, and keep scrolling forward.
Yeah. Out of the 85-minute runtime, like there's like 10, 11 minutes of worthwhile watching.
Yeah, the rest is just like girls looking at the camera as if they're trying to teach us some 14-year-old wisdom, like life is full of amazing surprises and you just have to do whatever you take to remember who you are and just do some great stuff. And I'm like, this is like every mid-2000s coming-of-age movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you do decide you want to check it out, you can go to, it's on Netflix, just search Tag. It'll be easy to find until Netflix picks up the new movie Tag that came out a couple weeks ago.
Or, we finally get the body spray movie we've been looking for.
So I got a feeling, Mike, that you've already gotten to this in detail, so you'll probably do this fairly quickly. But what do you got for your little segment that we do at this time?
There's only one. There's plenty of various fodder for my kill of the week. But it really, since so much of it is pointless, senseless, or just more angering at like why it's happening rather than joy that it's happening, the only good kill I can really attribute to this movie is the bus slaughter scene. We see 20 anonymous girls get fucking sliced like if all of this was video games, the beginning of this movie was Fruit Ninja. Then it became Call of Duty or Hall Pass of Duty, whatever. And then it became some Japanese dating simulator where a woman marries a pig, and then you get a nice temple run, and then, I don't know, some game where you commit suicide at the end. The Crackdown had a suicide death.
Yeah.
But that wasn't like the point of the game, that was just how the game ended.
Mm-hmm.
And people getting sliced in half, good.
Yeah, there was some other good, like, decent kills throughout it, but that was definitely the highlight, absolutely. I would be very surprised if you had picked something else. So, guys, that is our coverage of Tag 2015. What do you think? Did you see this movie? Have you heard about it? Do you agree with our take on it? Do you disagree and actually think that this is an enjoyable flick? Let us know what you think. You've got plenty of ways to let us know what you thought of our review, or if you have a movie suggestion for us of something you want us to cover. And good or bad, whatever you think. Like, it doesn't have to be one of your favorite movies. If there's something that you absolutely hate and you think that, you should make us suffer and watch it, or you just want to know our opinion, you can contact us, first of all, through email at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. And, of course, you can check us out on Instagram at instagram.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. If you're feeling particularly generous and you don't want Mike to starve to death, you can go over to Patreon, www.patreon.com/graveyard. That is our Patreon account, where if you feel like you want to help support the show with your hard-earned money, you can make a donation right there. It's set up for monthly donations, but if you just want to make a one-time thing, you can sign up. The moment you sign up, the donation is made, and if you just want to make it a one-time thing, trust us, we're fine with that. Just cancel right after you sign up, and that'll take care of it. You'll just be charged for the one time. And all the proceeds goes to the upkeep of the show. Even though the show is free to listen to, it's not free for us to produce. We actually have to pay for our provider to get these shows out to the masses. And anything you can do to help, really, we do appreciate it. And you get a little bonus for just $1 donation. You get access to our Patreon exclusive episodes. Every month we throw a new episode up there. We do it a little different than what we do for the show. We talk about different things. Still horror related, but it could be not just movies, TV shows, video games. We do some top 10 lists. We do sometimes extended episodes of the regular feed episodes, so check those out. They're completely unedited. And anything that we feel like doing at the time, really. So check those out. If you don't have the money to give us money, of course, we understand. You can still help us out a ton. The best way to do that would be to go to iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. To be quite honest, in the long run, that helps us out the most. If you're not an Apple user, however you're finding our show, whether it's through another podcast app or through our social media accounts, there should be some reviewing or subscription tab there, so check that out. That would help us out a lot. If you don't feel like doing that, you can share our episodes on social media or just by word of mouth. If you know somebody you think will be interested in the show, then just let them know about us. So, Mike, other than the Graveyard Shift, what other not quite so important things do you have going on?
Well, I also host a podcast called Technobabble on the Geek Fallout Productions podcast feed and Facebook page, where we talk about technology, developments, and science, and maybe even a little chemistry, just, amazing stuff done by brilliant people who have way more potential and use in the world than I ever will. And then there's also the Playing with Power podcast, which has two shows, the Playing with Power podcast, as well as the Taste Test. In both of these podcasts, I read Nintendo Power magazine with my friends, or we actually play the old games that were featured in Nintendo Power magazine, or whatever our audience suggests, and we do little skits about the games. So, you want to hear us play old Nintendo games like Ninja Gaiden and then hear me and my buddies get killed by Ninja Gaiden or whoever his name is, and you could do that.
Yeah, all good shows. You guys should check them out.
And if you think I'm not doing enough podcasts and you want to do one with me, shoot me a premise, and if you can cover the budget, I'll show up and do stuff.
Yep.
That's how this podcast got started.
It certainly is. Yeah, especially the Playing with Power. Like, Playing with Power was pretty much the catalyst for this podcast. It's what brought me and Mike together and decided that, hey, we both had a bit of a passion for horror movies, good or bad. Whether we enjoyed talking about them or just liked complaining about ones we didn't like, either way, we're like, hey, since we're having these conversations anyway, why don't we just record them and make a podcast? So we have to thank Playing with Power for getting that started. So there you go. So check that out. And yeah, you can, in one of the episodes, you can actually see like Mike and I's first conversation on a podcast. So definitely worthwhile. Check those out. You can actually, if you check out our social media, you can usually find the other shows there. They're all kind of, they all turn up in our posts at some point. So.
And Sheldon even joined us for our taste test episode with covering horror games for the Nintendo.
Of course, yes, because there were so many horror games, so many games based on horror movies. So of course, had to be a part of that one. So guys, that's the episode for this week. Hope you enjoyed, and even if you didn't, let us know. We certainly don't mind any constructive criticism, not just text that says you guys are idiots. Because
you're boring.
That happens.
Like, no. Yeah, you could be like, have you thought about adding this to the show? Like, phrase it like a question more rather than a demand.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Not like, your show sucks unless you do this. So, yeah, thanks for the advice.
Or those people you enjoyed spending time with on the show, I didn't like them.
Yeah. Well, good for you. But anyway, guys, we are going to be back next week with another horror movie. If you have a horror movie you want us to cover, get in contact with exactly the ways that I mentioned earlier. And we will certainly... It takes a while because, we kind of do them first come, first serve. So we've got a big list, but eventually we will get to it. And you Patreon donors, there's a few of you. You take priority. Like, your movie suggestions get to the top of the list because you're helping us out with the cost of the show, so you get priority. But other than that, it's first come, first serve. But in any case, we will have another movie from our list of suggestions next week. Until then, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
And thank you again for joining us on The Graveyard Shift.